Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia's story exposes a justice system under siege. In early 2025, he was seized without a warrant and deported to El Salvador, accused of gang ties and smuggling, charges with little evidence. He never saw a courtroom, never faced his accusers, and was denied due process. This wasn't an isolated case. In March, over 100 Venezuelan men were deported to El Salvador's notorious Curated prison, also accused of gang membership, again with scant proof. The administration used the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act to bypass immigration courts, silencing the accused and denying legal recourse. Federal judges pushed back. In June, Judge James Boasberg condemned the government's actions as Kafkaesque, arbitrary, secretive, and unaccountable. For Abrego Garcia, this nightmare was real, accused, punished, and exiled without trial. His case and those of the Venezuelan men raise urgent questions about the administration's willingness to sidestep due process. The government's actions suggest a troubling prioritization of executive power over individual rights. The legal battle that followed would test the very limits of the separation of powers. In this climate, the resilience of due process faces its greatest challenge yet. When Kilmar Abrego Garcia was finally returned to the U.S. in June 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi called it a victory for the rule of law. But for months the administration had openly defied court orders demanding his return. This was no bureaucratic delay. It was a calculated refusal to obey the judiciary, even after a Supreme Court directive. Officials worked to keep him overseas, hoping to outlast the courts. Only after public outcry and a lawsuit from his family did the case gain traction, with lawmakers demanding accountability. The administration's defiance extended to the Venezuelan deportations, where officials ignored a judge's order to halt deportation planes mid-flight, triggering a criminal contempt inquiry. This standoff revealed a belief that executive authority in immigration and national security trumps judicial oversight. Under mounting pressure, the administration relented, but Abrego Garcia was brought back only to face indictment, not freedom. Compliance was reframed as upholding the law, but the damage to judicial authority was done. The episode leaves a haunting question. What is the value of a court order if the executive can simply ignore it? While the administration fought to keep men like Abrego Garcia out, it showed a different face to its allies. President Trump wielded the pardon power with unprecedented frequency, creating what critics call a two-tiered justice system. On his first day back in office, he pardoned over 1,500 people involved in the January 6th riot, followed by a steady stream of clemency for political allies and donors. High-profile supporters, reality TV stars, and major donors all benefited, sometimes days before reporting to prison or after family members attended lavish fundraisers. The message was clear: loyalty and connections could erase convictions and debts. Even those convicted in cases touching the president himself, like major donors, saw sentences commuted. Meanwhile, the government fought to keep the accused and powerless out of the country, denying them even a hearing. This duality suggests justice is no longer blind but acutely aware of political allegiance and wealth. The result: a system where mercy is reserved for the well-connected, while others face the full force of the state. The administration's justification is simple. The justice system is weaponized against the president and his supporters. This narrative defends pardons for allies and aggressive executive actions, casting the judiciary and law enforcement as political enemies. In court, officials refused to share evidence, citing national security, and painted judicial scrutiny as partisan interference. Ignoring court orders became an act of resistance, not lawlessness, in the eyes of supporters. This rhetoric resonates with the base, but alarms legal scholars and defenders of constitutional order. Judge Boasberg countered, "Any government confident in its actions should welcome judicial scrutiny." The administration's stance raises a critical question. Is it fighting corruption or dismantling the checks and balances that constrain its power? The weaponization claim has become a convenient shield against accountability. These events, the wrongful deportation, defiance of court orders, and selective pardons, put the American concept of justice on trial. The rule of law demands equal treatment, but the administration's actions have created the perception of two sets of rules. Courts have tried to hold the line, insisting on due process and evidence, but their authority has been openly challenged. The president's pardon power, used to reward allies, further erodes public faith in the system. If loyalty can buy clemency while others are denied basic rights, the principle of equality before the law is at risk. The nation now faces a reckoning. Is justice impartial, or a tool for those in power? The answer will define the future of American democracy.